We'll start streaming on this one. So basically, we should have all three platforms should be up and running. We're streaming to Facebook this time, which is different because usually I'll do the other one. But this way, everything is basically live. Everything is there. So if it's basically any questions, I don't know if I can pin anything on Facebook, but this way we can have it. So I can't pin it. I'll say, okay, I can't pin it. So that way people have the ability to ask questions on YouTube, Facebook, just basically because I know on Facebook I have been it's been a lot of friends reaching out, just asking questions and stuff like that, in regards to the veteran affairs situation. So I just wanted to do like a impromptu live so that people could check in, see if they catch it or not. If you got any questions or anything like that, because I think the biggest issue that we're dealing with right now is with veterans is that a lot of veterans don't know how to start or where to start with the process, and I think that's the biggest ongoing issue that I keep on noticing from people within the community, people that I've worked with, people that I served with, and just entities outside of that, even people that I haven't worked with. I think the biggest issue ongoing is that people don't know how to start the process and where this process like begins or where to get to with the process. You have to take into account that a lot of the times when it comes to assisting yourself, you have to know what you're doing. When it comes to dealing with the VA, you have to be aware, you have to be knowledgeable, you have to know exactly what it is that you're trying to get out of this. It's not going to be a situation where you are just going to find you're not magically just going to get stuff. And that's something I think people need to realize. You're magically just going to find information and information is going to come to you. You have to do the diligence and you have to do the work in order to help yourself with this. You're not going to be Judy, how's it going? Um it's kind of hard to do that when you don't know what it is that you need to get done. And I think that's one of the biggest issues right now that people don't understand is just like, what is the process? Where do I start? What do I look into? What do I begin? And a lot of it is documentation, and that's where a lot of people keep on I guess missing. I wouldn't say missing the point, but I think that's what they keep missing is the fact that they don't have the proper documentation to actually take care of themselves and actually provide a claim that is actually going to benefit them and is actually going to be resolved in a positive manner. Because there's many times, and then also people need to realize that sometimes it's not only you filing a claim. Sometimes there are instances where the VA does mess up. The VA is not perfect. And I think that's something people need to realize. Also, the VA is not perfect and they do make mistakes. Some of them are like blatant mistakes that you're just like, man, I can't believe this shit. And then other times it's you're just in awe because it's just like you're trying to figure it out. Is the damn thing on Facebook like frozen or something? I can't tell. Um let me see something. Yeah, this thing keeps on like freezing. But yeah, that's one thing that people need to come to like the realization of that. I'm working in studio and watching it. Okay, cool. But that's something that I think people need to start realizing more is just that the way you set up your disability claim is the way you're gonna come out winning. If you go with the mentality of just I'm gonna do the bare minimum, that's the output and the outcome you're gonna get. It's gonna be the bare minimum. You are not going to get a serviceable answer if you're not putting in the serviceable work. If that's, I guess, like understandable, if people can understand that, you're just not gonna find that. You're just not. You're not gonna encounter that. You're not gonna run into that situation. You're gonna run into problems because of the fact that you basically thought that your documentation was good, and sometimes in actuality, a lot of people don't realize that their documentation is not where it's supposed to be. When it comes to documentation, I'm talking about anything that has to deal with MRIs, X-rays, buddy letters, buddy statements, your own personal statements, your spouse's statements, your kids' statements, a nexus letter from a doctor, outside provider. These are all things that assist you when it comes to creating a claim that a lot of people I don't think realize. And I think that's one of the things that they keep on missing out on is like people need to realize that, hey, you need to be able to have said gorilla. um you need to realize that the VA is not going to do the work for you. And that's the other thing I think that people miss out on, that the Department of Veteran Affairs is not hired to do the work for you. They are there to basically interpret the work that you provide them. Sometimes you do get lucky and you get CMP examiners or compensation and pension examiners that actually assist you, and that they actually they assist you, and they do their best to basically, how can I put it? It's kind of hard to put it in an easy way to say like, oh yeah, they're there, because they're not technically there to just assist you. They're there to help, but they're not there to do the work for you. So if you have, like, let's say a claim, sometimes a compensation and pension exam allows it and benefits you, because that compensation and pension exam, they actually assist you and they actually help you with a claim. So sometimes they actually give you a claim that you didn't even know was there, or you weren't aware of, or you weren't expecting, or you didn't think was part of the situation, and you end up having something like that. And it happens a good amount of the time where, well, I wouldn't say a good amount of the time, but it does happen where people are being notified, oh, this was also put into your claim, and you're looking at it and it's just like, I never really realized that this was a part of my claim. The CMP examiner sometimes will add the stuff, because if you fit the criteria for certain claims, they will put it in for you. But that's here and there, and that's not all CMP examiners. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes they really care about it and they really want to help you and they want to assist you. And they'll be like, oh, okay, well, the symptoms you've provided me, I'm diagnosing you with this. Like, you have this, but you also are dealing with this, so I'm gonna put this as a claim. Because the thing is you got to realize, anything that is service connected via the VA, you can go get seen for free of charge. So basically, any ailment, whether it's the ankle injury, knee injury, hips, back, shoulders, elbows, anything, any other joints, anything like that, you can go get seen, and you can go sign up for physical therapy or a chiropractor. I go see a chiropractor for my back. And that's part of one of the things that was service connected for me. I'm also 100% P&T, but I had the documentation and everything good to go, so I didn't have to deal with anything on the back end. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. A lot of the times, yo, what's up with that? A lot of the times people don't understand that all that documentation that you failed to get while you were in service hurts you when it comes to dealing with the VA. The military doesn't tell you that. None of the branches, from what I've seen from any of the from anybody that I've spoken to, and then I've chatted with people that have been fighting the VA for like over 10 years. There's people that get it on their first try. I've assisted some people to get it on their first try. And some people are still dealing with it and they don't know where to go through and how to get it. So it's certain things like that that people need to realize, and they have to look into, like, hey, this is something that I need assistance with, but you don't have to go out of pocket to pay it. You don't have to go to a lawyer. There's VSOs, the Veteran Service reps. They do it for free. The American Legion, the BFW. You can go on the va.gov site, which I can show y'all also. And you can go and it'll show you where there's accredited people and who's accredited and certified by the VA to actually gain assistance. Now, the same way, all these VSOs are not the same. Some go above and beyond, some don't. Depending on your locality, it may be like, hey, if you're dealing with a ton of veterans and you're in a residential area or an area where it's like a lot of veterans reside, you gotta think and keep that in mind. It's like, man, this person is servicing maybe like 50 different veterans. He's not gonna catch everything. There's gonna be stuff he misses, but then that's also on you because you have to do the work for it. You have to go through your service records. You have to go through your medical records. You have to go get an x-ray. You have to go get an MRI. You have to go get a CAT scan. You have to go and show the physical therapy that you've done. You got to go through all these different steps and processes in order to make sure that you have the documentation you need to be service connected and to receive a rating. Another thing is a lot of people don't look at it. It's just like there are over 3,000 different claims. There's over 3,000 different disability claims that can be claimed when it comes to being a veteran and claiming them. The thing is that all of them are not going to apply to you. Not every single one of them is going to apply, but a lot may. And sometimes it's those that you don't even think about that you're dealing with, or something that you maybe never got diagnosed with or never realized, and you're dealing with it now, and that's still a percentage. And those percentages add up because once you get to 100% P&T, the compensation is better. It's at the top of the line. But then if you have like the special, then you go into the special monthly compensation, which is if you lost a limb or something like that, you receive more. Is it worth it? Definitely not. If you're getting hurt or losing a limb, it's never worth it to deal with something like that, obviously. But you get compensation for it. But then for certain states, you get other benefits because you're 100% P&T. Some don't do much if you're not 100% P&T. Some do. But that's stuff that you have to make sure you're looking at and checking into. Like I said, there's over 3,000 different claims you can make when it comes to muscles, joints, mental health or mental health disorders. All your joints, literally every joint you have can be a percentage. But the thing is also you got to realize that not all of them are going to get you to 100%. Some of these ailments are just going to give you 30%, 40%. And if you don't know, I have my video on VA math, basically explaining how the VA math actually works. It's not a 1 + 1 = 2. It's the easiest way for me to explain it to people is like you are a pizza pie, basically. You're a pizza pie, and what happens is that you're that piece of that pie. When they give you that percentage, you just took away that percent of the pie starting. Because you always start off with the highest percentage you get. So let's say you started off with that 50% for migraines or 50% for sleep apnea. If you start with that, it's 50% of the pie. So now you're left with 50%. So now let's say you get another 50% rating, and that's migraines for 50%. Now you got sleep apnea 50%, migraines 50%. Any normal regular person would be like, oh shit, I'm at 100%. The VA doesn't work like that. It's now you have half that pie left. Now you take 50% of that half that's left. Now you're at 75%. Because basically you had 50% the first time. Half of 50 is 25, so they add the 25 on top of it. So then it's just like, okay, you've added that now, and now it's just like, okay, what else? Now I'm at 75%. But at the same time, you're getting paid at the 80% because they round up after the fives. So once you get 5 and you round up, you get paid at the next level. But you got to realize that you are still at 75%. So when it comes to getting to that 95% to reach 100, you still need it. You're working from 75, not from 80. They round it up for compensation wise. They don't round it up for like ratings or percentage wise. So that's something that people need to put in mind also. All those numbers and all that stuff gets added into it. And it's just like you keep on taking a percentage of a percentage. So as you keep on adding one thing, you get a percentage, they tack on some more. So you have 50% sleep apnea, 50% migraines, you're at 75%. You get another 50%, it's half of that 25% that's left. So that's maybe like 13. So you got 3 50% ratings And now 50% of 25 gives you like 12 and a half. So 13. So now you add that 13 to that 75. You at what, 88? So now you're getting paid at the 90 mark. But you're not. Now you need to get to 95 still. But you're still getting paid only at, you're getting paid at the 90, but you're only at 88. So that's what people need to realize, that it's important for you to make sure that you know what percentage you actually sit on. And then you can see, hey, if I file for this, this is the percent I will get, or this is the percent I may be able to get due to my disability. Because each disability is different. Not all of them afford you to get 100%. One of the ones that most people always have is mental health disorders, whether it's anxiety, depression, PTSD, stuff like that. That goes from 0 to 100%. In those cases, you can use that. And if you get 0 to 100%, you're able to gain something from that. But at the same time, unless you end up with 100%, which means that you basically forgetting things, you're hallucinating, you're having probably night terrors, and it's all documented, and you've gone and spoken to a psychiatrist or a therapist and they've explained that and diagnosed you with it, then from there you have to still go through an examination to show that you're actually dealing with these things. And then you have to make sure that it's connected to your time in service, which is the biggest thing. In service, you may have PTSD, but if you have no way of proving that your PTSD was caused because of your time in service, because of that traumatic issue that happened that you have no documentation, never got seen for, now you going through another process of basically, now I have to prove to the VA that this is actually military related. Doesn't always happen like that. And then that goes into another existential thing of you needing to get an outside provider, getting outside information and providing stuff like that. But it's just like people don't realize that it's just like that's where you're at. If you've been out of the military for more than like 2 years, shit, after the 1 year mark where everything they basically include and be like, yeah, we'll just take it. Anything after the year mark, basically you need to make sure that you have an outside provider providing you the information and the diagnosis and a nexus letter basically stating, yes, I diagnosed Cruz with this. He's been diagnosed with this. This is probably because of his time while he was serving in the Army. This is how it's connected to his time serving in the Army. So he has degenerative disc disease. His degenerative disc disease is from all the running he was doing, all the rucking he was doing, all the jumping and all these guerrilla drills and all that stuff. And then he had an incident where he tweaked his back. It's documented. Now we go from there. But it's documented in my medical records. If I don't have that documented in my medical records, you're going to need an outside entity to basically write a statement saying that, look, this guy's back has gotten messed up because of his time in service. And sometimes it's just not that easy. And sometimes a lot of doctors don't want to put their name on that because sometimes they can't really assure themselves or state like, you know what? This person actually did deal with this in the military. And now that they're out, they're dealing with it worse. That's not always the case. They can't always, you need them. You need to provide without a reasonable doubt that you are saying that you are injured or you are going through this and it happened in the military. If you have it in your medical records, it still doesn't mean you're going to get it. Not to say that it's because you're being denied because you don't have it, but it's being denied because the VA overlooked something or they skipped it. And that goes into the way you submit your documentation also, because what I tell a lot of people is like when you're looking at your medical records, you have to look at your medical records line by line, page by page. You cannot miss anything on there because there's a lot of times that people don't realize that those CMP examiners and those raters, what they do is that they control F. They just find control F, type in the keyword. So the keyword is migraines. Control F, type in migraines. Whatever pops up for migraines, that's what they start looking at. So if they start saying, oh, you first got it here, you got put on medication on this year and stuff like that, that's what they're looking at. They're looking at it that way. But at the same time, if somebody in the PA or in the military decided to mistype migraines, So maybe they forgot to put the E at the end and it's just NS. That document that has that information is not going to populate on a search. When you try to find it, it's not going to populate. If there's any pictures, they're not going to populate. So if you have a copy of your medical records and it is a picture where Adobe can't really scan it, they're not going to find that. Because you got to remember, you've been in the military for whatever time it was. Look, I was in the military for 10 years and I had over 900 plus pages of medical records. And that was putting together all my like physical therapy, my x-rays, my MRIs, multiple physical therapy sessions, all my sleep studies, all that stuff. Hey, 40 rounds, my man Anthony. Appreciate you, my man. Yeah, man, Anthony, I've been getting there's been a lot of buddies that have been reaching out to me and they're trying to find out what it is. So I'm trying to see, because I know on Facebook I'll be able to catch people better because not everybody jumps on YouTube. So I figured might as well do a live where I can do it where people on Facebook could probably catch me and see it and then probably switch over to YouTube and watch it that way. But that way people get this information, because a lot of y'all served with. A lot of y'all I know haven't gone to do the stuff, haven't filed disability or need help filing disabilities. And the thing is as friends and people that I served with, I'm willing to help y'all with no issue. I don't have an issue helping y'all because I've served with y'all. I know who y'all are. With other people, it's just like I don't want to charge, but it's just like it does take up time and resources to be able to help everybody individually. With people that I served with, it's like, hey, I know y'all already. It's different. With people I don't know, it's just like, hey, I need to find a way to justify, like, hey, if I'm going to take 2 to 3 hours out of my day to go one-on-one with somebody to help them and see what they got and see what they need to do and see how they can fix it, then yeah, we got to do something about that. But that's beyond the point there. But it's just like information like this is readily available because the Code of Federal Regulations is searchable. Excuse me. All you got to do is you literally all just got to type in Title 38 or CFR 38 Part 4, and that'll populate the document that you need, which will show you the schedule of ratings. Part 4 showing what disabilities you can claim and what percentage you can obtain from them when you do it. Because remember, not everything, like I said, not everything can get you 100%. When it comes to, like, let's say if you have arthritis in your hands, you can count each finger that has arthritis as a 10% rating. But like I said, you need to make sure you have a diagnosis, and it shows that whatever you were doing in service could cause that. If you're a mechanic and you were always turning wrenches, doing this, that stuff, that's something that you were always using your hands. So it's hard for the VA to be like, well, no, that didn't happen because of us. But at the same time, if you never got seen while in service, it was like, yeah, maybe it's something that occurs after the fact, but you file that differently, but you still have to prove that it was because of the military. I was just like, yeah, if you had arthritis when you started and now it's gotten worse, you still have to show that the arthritis started in the military. Because otherwise it could just be like, hey, look, you just developed arthritis on your own. Nothing to do with the military. But if you can show, hey, yeah, it happened while in service. I went and I got my hand seen and they said I had arthritis and you kept on going and it keeps on getting worse. That's how you claim it also, because you have that documentation basically highlighting like, yes, I issued this and I dealt with this while in service. But if you don't have that, then it's going to just be, it's a hard road to continue down. But the other thing is you can't give up when it comes to fighting your disability claims. You can't give up. You have to continue to work on it. You have to continue to go. Even if you get denied, you have to continue to appeal. If you know you have an issue and you know something is wrong, you have to continue to fight that fight to basically acknowledge and make sure that, hey, I got this completed. I got this done. I was able to file this. I found documentation on this. What I like to tell a lot of the active duty people, if you're still on active duty, if you know anybody that's on active duty, if they get a profile, tell them to keep a copy of it. Make a copy the same way you have, like, I don't know if people still do the I Love Me book, which is if y'all know, like all the awards, promotions, all that stuff in a book. Do the same thing, but for your medical stuff. Any medical profiles that you get, put them in there. You get a damn sick call slip that just says you were on quarters for anything, put it in there. Make a copy and keep a copy for yourself so that way you have that also as part of your medical records. Because a lot of active duty don't understand that when you're basically when your profile expires, it's out the system. They don't really care for that, because the thing is basically if it's not permanent, it doesn't stay in the system. If it's a temporary profile, that means, oh, you were injured for like 2 weeks or something like that. Cool. All right, you're not injured no more. You didn't come back. We don't need to put a profile, so that profile just disappears. Because if you notice, most of the time now, at least I don't know if it changed with this new IPSA program, but it's just like when I first joined in 2012, like 2013, 2014, you can actually pull up and see all your old profiles. Then when they switched to that whole new program or something, all of a sudden you only saw your most recent one. So you weren't able to download previous ones. You only saw your recent one. So now if you have a list of all these times that you were on profile, and then you provide that with your medical records, you just gave even more evidence to show like, hey, look, I dealt with this while I was serving. I had to deal with this. I went to physical therapy. I did this. I did that. All that stuff gets notated and it gets evaluated and it gets seen as service connected. But if you don't have that, it's hard. There's a lot of people that are very prideful. They didn't want to go. They didn't want to go to the doc, or they told them not to go to the doctor, or it was like looked down upon. All that stuff. All that stuff is valid. I understand that, but at the same time, you still need to take care of yourself, because none of those platoon sergeants, none of those commanders, none of those first sergeants, none of those platoon leaders are gonna take care of you afterwards. None of them are watching over you. None of them are making sure like, oh shit, is this person good to go? I was just like, no. It just doesn't happen that way. But if you don't have no documentation, it's an uphill battle basically. So basically you finding all your documentation is the other thing. Now, when it comes to your documentation, you have to sort the stuff out. And that's why I say you have to go through line by line. You have to go page by page. You have to literally word by word, whatever you're claiming, you have a back injury, you have to find everywhere in those medical records of yours where you dealt with the back injury. Whether it was physical therapy, a steroid shot, muscle relaxers being prescribed, all that stuff has to be documented and in there, because it shows. Like in the case for me, when it came to my migraines, the guy just typed up migraines and then he was just like, oh, prescriptions. He saw, what is it, Maxal or Ritzopran or some shit like that. I don't know how to say it. But that one was there and that showcased it, and it was just like, oh, okay, this person does have this. He does deal with this. He's taking medication for it, which shows, okay, this person is actually showing that he has medication on it and it's visible. He's using it. And that I think is one of the bigger things, because the thing is people don't realize that. That is one of the bigger things. Is just like, hey, you have to have this visible. Well, I just lost my train of thought. My bad. But that's something that you need to make sure that's there. You have to showcase that. You have to highlight that. You have to make sure that people understand that it's just like, you have this going on. You have these things going on. You have to show them. Nobody's going to take care of you but yourself. And that's the same mentality that you have to make sure you're doing with the VA. The VA is not, the VA is there to take care of you, but they're not there to do the work for you. If you got all this documentation, go through it line by line. Every time you had a back issue, anytime it was an ankle issue, anytime you went to behavioral health, all that stuff, start separating all those documents in your medical record and start separating them towards those items. And then you make that a PDF, so that way when you go to file a claim, you are labeling that evidence as that claim. So, hey, you are filing for upper like cervical back issues. Cervical back issues. Anytime you went to get seen for it, anytime you went to physical therapy for it, you make that a whole complete different document. And then you just label it as cervical back issues or cervical back evidence. You label it that way, you make it its own PDS, and then when you upload it, because you have the ability to upload the evidence, you upload that document file. Because you're going to still upload your whole medical record. But at the same time, now you have specific evidence on these claims. So that way it specifies for a person, hey, I don't know who Cruz is. I don't know this guy, but he says he's claiming this, he's claiming that, he's claiming this. I don't want to go through 900 pages and find out if he's right. But oh, hold on. He has a different document here that shows back injury or cervical spine injury or whatever the case may be. He has all these documents there. Okay, I can click on this and now I can just skim through this and see, okay, he got seen for this. He got an x-ray in this year. He got another x-ray in this year. It shows the progression of getting worse while in service. Then from there, it's easy. But at the same time, you look at it, it's just like, oh, back issues. The most you could get is like 40, unless it's just like your back is just like done. If your back is like literally broken that you need to either fuse it or something like that, then you might get a higher percentage. But otherwise, certain body parts are only going to get you a certain amount. Shoulders, I think the highest is like 30% for some 40, depending on what it is with the shoulder. Elbow, same thing. Like all those different things change where you're going when it comes to filing a disability rate. But if you have everything just thrown in there, jumbled in, it's kind of hard to get anything done. Because the thing is the same way if somebody hands you 900 pages and you tell them, hey, look, this is what I'm trying to tell you is going on. It's going to be kind of hard because they're going to look at it like, you know what, this ain't working. This is not the documentation of this isn't the paperwork that we thought was going to coincide with what you had or what you were dealing with. And that goes a long way. I'm trying to see something. So why does my internet look like it's dropping? But that's something that people don't realize enough, and people don't understand that, and they underestimate their ability to make it easier for themselves when it comes to making a disability rating. Like I said, like here we go. I'll show y'all the CFR, which is one thing I always tend to show people. On YouTube, you can see the CFR. If it's on Facebook, I'm still doing it that way. So if you're on Facebook, just click the link on the YouTube link, and from there, that'll take you to the YouTube page. You can click on your mobile phone version, or you can click on the widescreen version, depending on which one you want to do. But this basically shows the Code of Federal Regulations. So the Code of Federal Regulations will highlight and it shows you and it breaks it down. Schedule of ratings, which gives you all the explanation and stuff. Then disability ratings, which is part B, gives you the musculoskeletal, gives you organs of special sense, impairment of auditory acuity, infectious diseases, immune disorders, and nutritional deficiencies, the respiratory system, cardiovascular system, digestive system, the urinary system, gynecological, I can't even talk right now, gynecological conditions and disorders of the breast, hematologic, lymphatic systems, endocrine system, neurological conditions, mental disorders, dental and oral conditions. Like all these things are covered. All these things will show you and highlight this is what you have available to you. This is what you have available to claim. A lot of people don't know what the digestive system, like GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, stuff like that, that's a disability claim. Most people deal with it, but they don't even know. Shit, if you spent so much time eating MREs while you were because you were always in the field eating MREs, your stomach is not the same. And it's just depending on what it is that you're dealing with. See, GERD could get you up to 80%. But like I said, with each breakdown, there is a certain criteria. What most people end up getting is like 30% or 10%, depending on it, just like if it requires medication, dilation, like depending on how bad it is for GERD. Um, if you get surgery, ulcer disease, what else you got? Um, Gastritis, you got stomach injuries, stomach like incident cirrhosis of the liver, um, gallbladder injury, irritable bowel syndrome can get you up to 30%. Colitis doesn't get you anything, but they tie it into different things. So that's why it's important when you go to file a disability claim with that, you have to ensure that you are paying attention to what it is you are claiming. Because some things just don't have anything that is in the Code of Federal Regulations. So, for example, when it comes to back spasms, there's nothing that you can claim. You cannot claim back spasms. There's no actual claim for back spasms. I think it would be under muscle, but there's no specific claim for back spasms. And that's a let me see if I can search it. Static foot on palpable painful motion. So this is basically what it has. With any form of arthritis, painful motion is an important factor of disability. The facial expression, the wincing, etc. So basically with back spasms, what the VA basically looks for is are you actually having a back spasm when you're being checked? Now, if you happen to have a back spasm while you're being examined, that is a clear-cut tale. It's just like, oh shit, his back is messed up. Look, it's twitching. The chances of that happening, small, unless you have like frequent back spasm all the time, that it's to that point that it's just like it's a constant twitching. But then you can't claim that, because the thing is what happens if you get those back spasms here and there? The thing is if you're getting those back spasms, that means that you have some underlying issue that's causing your back to spasm. Now, the thing is that's where you have to find what you're diagnosed with. That's where you have to find what the actual issue is that's causing your muscles to spasm. Because it's either you're overworking it, or something is under pressure that it's like it's giving out. There's different things that can happen when it comes to spasms, but you cannot claim back spasms. I went ahead and claimed back spasms, and I thought, I was like, oh shit, this is an easy claim. I got muscle relaxers for this. And I was just like, no, you don't get a claim for back spasms. Me, it was just like I had degenerative disc disease and I had a slipped and bulging disc, and that's what was causing my spasms. So then when they went and checked it, and it was just like, oh shit, okay. Got an MRI. They saw the MRI. It was like, oh, yeah, bro, you got a bulging disc. Oh, the reason your arm goes numb is because that bulging disc is pinching one of your nerves that goes to your arm. That's why you're losing sensation in your arm. And then it's just like, oh, okay, thanks, I guess. But it takes, especially if you've served, you know how long it takes. Yo, what up, my man? How you been, brother? I was just like, and that's how it is. It's just like people don't realize that when it comes to, like, if you having spasms, you have an underlying issue within your back, whether it's a bulging disc, degenerative disc disease, or anything of the sort. All that stuff contributes to something, but you have to make sure that you are actually aligning yourself and actually notating it and putting it in writing. It has to be in, like, the same way people like to say, like when it came to people getting Article 15s or whatever the case, if you ain't have no counselings, it was kind of hard to give you Article 15 because you ain't have the paperwork. It's the same thing with the VA. If you don't have the paperwork to show that you had something happen while in the army, the VA is like, bro, it never happened. I was just like, you saying it's happening, you saying that we caused it or the military caused it, but you don't actually have any proof of it. Because at the same time, a lot of people was like, hey, you can have a back issue and you could have gone snowboarding 2 years after you left. And that's how you messed up your back. But now you want to claim it and you want to say that it happened in service, which some people do that. But then it's fighting through it. I get random pops from back and then tingles. Too stubborn to do and go to the doc. Guess it goes back to. Yeah, and Josh, is that's the mentality that people have. Is just the fact that they don't like that mentality of not going to sick call, not going to get seen. It's just like, oh, you're weak or stuff like that. Ain't none of these people taking care of you right now. But that's where it's just like we have to get out of that like mantra and that mentality of like, hey, if we hurt, we need to go get seen. Go get checked. You a veteran, there's benefits that you get for it. You can get it taken care of. Like if you get pops, bro, I sound like a damn accordion when I bend over sometimes. All you hear is the clack, clack, clack. like, you know, when they fucking cranking something open. That's how my back sounds like when it's expanding itself again. So it's just like those things. It was like, you got to go get seen. Go to a chiropractor. Go to physical therapy. They provide you all that stuff once it's service connected because you can go and get health care basically, and it's free of charge. You don't have to worry about it because they basically paying for it. Either you're going to go and see a doctor at the VA or they'll resort to basically changing it so that you can go see an outside entity that's, well, it's not any outside entity that you choose. It's basically somebody that's within the service to do it. And then 50% for PTSD. I'm at 100% P&T, bro. That's why I do this, because it's just like just to try to get everybody over that hump and stuff like that, just to get them to that 100%. That 100% is different. It does hit different. But at the same time, it's just like you just got to make sure you got the stuff in there. Because if you at 80, you got 10 for back, 10 for each knee, and 50%. That means that probably your hips, I need that other 20. I understand that, but then you got to start thinking, the way you got to start thinking about it is like, what else is connected to these issues? Or what else did I know or didn't even think of that I was dealing with while I was in service and I have paperwork for showing that it happened in service? Because if you got back issues, you got knee issues, you probably got ankle issues, and you probably got hip issues going along with it. I put in for sleep apnea and they sent me 2 take-home tests. I've been noticing that they've been doing that a lot more. Because when I did my sleep apnea, I was in Hawaii then, and they actually sent me to a place where I stayed overnight to do it. So it was just like a building that they just did like the sleep study, and I stayed there overnight to do it. I slept there. They video recorded it and everything, and then they showed the results, and the results like, yeah, you have moderate obstructive sleep apnea, you have restless leg syndrome, and because they was just like, I was just like, how the hell do it was just like we saw the video. I was like, oh shit, okay, so these motherfuckers saw me live, like twitching and shit. So, but now I know they're sending people home and they telling them to put on the machine, sleep with it, and stuff like that, and I don't think those are as efficient as it was like how when I did it. Because when I did it, literally, it's just like you go into a place, they give you the bed. Yeah, that's sleep apnea because you stop breathing, and that's what it is. The thing is when you did that test, did you do it on your back or did you just try to get comfortable and do it on your side? That's why I think it's a problem, because the thing is most people, when it comes to that take home thing, it was just like you just trying to sleep comfortable because it's uncomfortable as shit when you got something on your fucking chest trying to measure shit and you have it on your chest. It was like, man, I'm gonna sleep on my side. If you're on your side, most of the time you breathe easier and you don't have that issue. But when you're on your back, that's when this closes up and that's when you stop breathing and you have issues. Shit, I have that all the time, and I sleep with a damn CPAP machine all the damn time. I sleep with my shit every day. And my shit is still, wife was just like, yo, wake your ass up. And I don't sleep in 1%. I toss and turn. I started. Yeah, and that's the thing. So that's why it doesn't show up as conclusive. Because the thing is if you were to stay on your back, it would show basically how restricted your sleeping is. But when you go on your side, your esophagus and your breathing is not cramped. So if you keep on moving just to get comfortable, like that's why I don't like that method. I've never really been a fan of that method because the thing is just like they send you home with it and stuff like that. With mine, no, these people got video. These people, man, they put so many damn wires on me. That shit was crazy. No, see the thing is damn they damn near do though. Like they put sensors like all on your head. They put sensors on your chest. They put some on your legs. Um, they even put you with like a breathing apparatus on there, which basically shows like your oxygen level and stuff like that. And that's why I was just like when I hear people telling me it's just like, oh, I got my sleep study, but it's just like, oh, they sent the shit home. I was like, sent it home. I was like, that shit ain't gonna work. I was just like, because the thing is you gonna try to be comfortable as you are. You in your own house. It's a lot easier to tell how bad you can't stay sleeping when you're not in your own bed. Because literally they put you in a damn room, turn off the lights, and be like, hey, you need anything, you need to go to the bathroom, we're about to connect you so you can go. If you need to pee or wake up or something like that, go ahead. But they put the oxygen thing on you, centers all over your chest, and then they recorded the whole thing. So that's how they saw the twitching and they saw it, and that's what gave them the evidence to show, like, okay, this dude has this, he has sleep apnea. I think it's like, for me, it's like about 25 times per hour, I think it was. I can't remember exactly. I think it was like 25 episodes per hour. Or like within half an hour, every half hour was like 25. It was something ridiculous where it was just like, and then it showed it because it did it that way. That was the thing. Hold on, let me see something real quick. But that's the one thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to that. It's just like if you are doing a sleep study, the VA. So Josh, did the VA send it as a take home test, or did you do it like through an outside entity? Because I think that's what I'm noticing and I'm realizing is that through the VA they are sending you that take home kit. Or maybe they are doing it outside also, because it is something that is just like you don't always get a referral for and stuff like that. So it's just like, yeah, you got sleep apnea. The machines is like $2,500 alone. The test itself it takes some time because it's like you take it and it takes like at least almost a month or two for you to get the results. But I'm saying, so they third partied it out and they still sent the take home. That's the crazy part. Because it's like they trying to be cost effective, but I think it's hurting more veterans because of the fact that it's just like you're sending me, you're not actually have me doing the thing. What's crazy is they didn't want the test kit back. That's what? That's interesting. So they sent you something to test you and then they don't want it back. Like, how the hell? Oh, okay. That could be, that's understandable then. So then what you need to do, Josh, is that you need to go, if you have an outside provider or something like that, and be like, look, I've been dealing with sleep apnea since I was in the military. I've been trying to get Medicaid. I've been trying to get a CPAP machine since the military. I've been dealing with this. I've been dealing. If you can show, the thing is like you have to show that you had it in service. That's where a lot of you might run into that headache. Because if you out now and you're trying to get sleep apnea, you might get diagnosed with it, yes. But can you prove that it happened while you were in service? That's where it started. If you got diagnosed with it, but that's the thing, if you're doing a sleep study now after the fact, it makes it harder for you to actually prove that it happened during service. So you have to show something during service that it happened. Whether it could be like shit. I tell people, okay, see, you got doc appointments, but do you have documentation? Because the thing is like I tell people, the fucking military PAs are the worst. The absolute worst. Because most of the time they don't put what the hell is supposed to be on there. I have a DIC claim pending and VA requested a ACE exam. However, the opinion was not based on the conditions I am claiming. Vet had in-service strep. Months later, developed post-streptocal. Huh. So I had to come. See, that's the thing, Josh. You have to have that documented, though. However, the opinion. Let me see. Uriel says, if I have a DIC claim pending and a VA requested a ACE. What is the ACE exam? I'm not sure what the ACE exam is. However, the opinion was not based on the conditions I am claiming. Vet had in-service strep and then months later developed post-strep. So the thing is will letters and counselings help? If you have, look, buddy statements go a long way. They may not be the best, but it's something there. So hypertension, years later, hypertension causes just heart disease, both conditions aggravated COVID and cause death. Uriel, so when it comes to the DIC claim, I know that a lot of the times is that in that autopsy, and sorry for the loss, in that autopsy, it has to say that they died because of that. Because the thing is it could be aggravated because of COVID, but a lot of the times the VA likes to give a hard ass time because of the fact that it's just like if the autopsy or the doctor report don't say this person passed away because of that, is there a record review instead of a DBQ? Okay, a record review. Okay. So that's because the record review is that basically what they're saying is that they're trying to find where this happened and where this dealt with while in service. Because he's passed now. So he can't fill out a DBQ. So they're trying to go to a records review because of the fact that it's like posthumous. I can't even say the word. But it was after death that they're trying to get this to be verified. So basically it's, hey, did he deal with this and was he diagnosed with this while in service? And then did he pass because it got aggravated after the fact? And that's why he passed. That's why the VA makes shit so fucking difficult sometimes, even though it's like a straightforward thing. The VA makes it difficult to annotate these things because most of the time, like I said, those PAs in the military, most of the time they don't put half of the shit that you actually deal with. If you actually look at the document, like if you actually sit down and read your profiles, shit's still dirty. If you sit down and read your actual profiles or your actual like doctor's visit or whatever the case, you need to make sure that you are paying attention to what they are saying in there. Because a lot of the times the PA ain't writing it in that. You could have had what, like a ankle injury. Like in my case, I sprained my ankle. He just put ankle injury. I was like, I had a severe sprain that I had 18 months worth of physical therapy. They didn't want to give me the sprained ankle because of the fact that the PA didn't put it was a sprained ankle. He just put it was an ankle injury. So they took it as, oh, well, all this physical therapy that you did wasn't because of a sprain. It was because of another thing. It was something else that happened to your ankle, but it wasn't a sprain. So they... How often do I do these? So these Q&As, I always do them every Sunday. I do them every Sunday, 12 noon, 12 noon Central Time every Sunday. Facebook, this is the first time that I actually decided, you know what? Because sometimes I do these on TikTok, and I do it that way. This is the first time that I'm actually doing it on. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. But I do this. This is the first time I'm doing it on Facebook because I have, like, lately I put that video out last week, like a short, like a story, a reel, basically saying that I was holding it that Sunday. And I've had like 5 people come and reach out to me, people that I served with, people that was in the military with me, and they were just like asking for assistance. So I was like, okay, I might need to hold these more often so that people can find me on Facebook, see that I'm on Facebook and talk to them that way, and then they can come onto the YouTube channel, or they show up on Sundays when I do it every Sunday, 12 noon Central Time. I do it on phone and I do it on regular screen. It's easier on regular screen because I can show you the whole entire screen and it shows you that way. But I also do it on phone. Like if you're on the move or something and you got questions and stuff like that, I do it that way. But I try to help, trying to help because, like I said, I'm 100% PNT. I got there, but I basically did it on my own, and then that showed me the struggle that a lot of people have when it comes to that. It was just like a lot of the information is out there, but people don't know about it. Like in the case of Uriel, if they're asking for documentation, is that they want to see that. And that's the thing, Josh, is just like I'm trying to find another time slot that would work for me and work for people. Cause I know Sunday is church time. People go to church on Sundays. I already know that. People go to church. And then football season is starting up. People gonna watch their football game. Only thing I tell you is like, look, you can worship and you can watch a rerun of your game, or you could just tune in and maybe get your benefits up. That's all I'm saying. It was just like 1 week of missing is not gonna hurt you, but that 1 week of getting that information can benefit you for the following weeks going forward. Because it's a big thing. Like people don't understand there's certain things that you can do and certain things when it comes to being evaluated and getting the right claims in is what changes it. Because like you said, look, you pulled the IT band, but they didn't put that shit as an IT band. Like I said, I sprained my ankle. They just said it was an injury. Ankle injury. What ankle injury you deal with? Well, I guess I could have just hurt my ankle, but I dealt with it for a year and a half. So the thing was, when I looked at my records, there was nothing saying that it was an ankle injury. It just looked like I was going to physical therapy for a year and a half off of an ankle. It didn't say why I was there or anything because the PA never put that I sprained my ankle. Mind you, my thing swole up like a damn watermelon and shit was like black and blue and everything. And this man just put injury. So when I put the claim in, the VA looked at it. It was just like, bro, we are denying this claim for ankle. And I was just like, what? And I had to appeal it, and that took a process. And that's the other thing. Me not knowing, what I ended up doing was I ended up refiling. So I ended up refiling for the ankle when I should have just appealed it and gone through the appeal process, and I missed out like on a couple of grand when it came to back pay because I would have been back paid the whole way from when I first started the claim as compared to when I resubmitted again. So that's one thing that people don't understand also. Like it's just like you got to put a bruh. These people don't care. And that's the thing. It was just like, but if you don't have any of that documented, these people they don't look at it, they don't pay attention to it, they don't acknowledge it. And that's the problem with the VA. And that's sometimes the problem with the medical in the military. It's just like you can be hurt, but if you're not getting it diagnosed properly, you run into these issues where it's just like, hey, I have this issue or I dealt with this issue. But when you go in your medical records, the shit ain't there. No, so an appeal can only happen a year after you've been denied. So you would end up having, since you already did it for 3 years and it's been 3 years, you would have to refile again. So you would have to make sure you have all the documentation and the paperwork that you submitted with that first claim, and then now you need to add everything on the outside to show that. Because you could only do it after a year. The same way, once you get out, you get a year basically buffer that basically says, hey, anything within this year that you claim, we'll say it was part of the military. After that year, you need to start getting a diagnosis and you need to start getting nexus letters, which is that letter from the medical provider saying that this is being tied into this. So when you tie those two together, then it works. Oh man, you should have done that. If they were saying that you were doing an in-office one, that you definitely should have gone and done that. Because that's basically probably the one that I'm talking about, that you actually would have had to stay in there and you would have had to sleep there and then they would have gotten the testing done. But the thing is like with that, you would have to go, you can still go through the VA and ask to talk to you, whoever your medical provider is or your primary doctor, whatever team you fall under, and get it and asked them for that. It was like, look, I went through this claim 3 years ago. I went through a sleep study and I'm still dealing with sleep apnea. But when I got the test the first time, I wasn't able to. It came out inconclusive. Is there any way that y'all can schedule me for a in-home or an actual facility where I can do a sleep study to help assist with, or do I have to go through an outside entity? A lot of the times they're going to say that you're going to go through an outside entity, but it's like I said, at the end of the day, it pays. Because you got to remember, sleep apnea, once you got a CPAP machine, is 50%. They're talking about possible changes come April, but that's still not in stone. That's still not in writing. It hasn't actually had an effective or like decided date. They're just saying that their final decision should come in April when it comes to that. But if you file before then and you get your claim, it's 50%. So you're at 80%. 50% isn't going to get you there. Because you got to remember, then if you're at 80, you got 20% left. 50% of that, if I go through outside, is there reimbursement? Most of the time, there isn't. That's the issue. Most of the time, it is not reimbursable because of the fact that it's just like it wasn't a service-connected issue. So you may have to go out of pocket to get that done to show like, yes, I have sleep apnea. I can get the documentation and stuff like that. You'll make the money back over time. But that's the unfortunate part when it comes to this, is just like, or you go through the process of the 50 would not put you over. No, that's the sad part. That's the sad part. Because you got to remember, VA math is not 1 + 1 = 2. So if you're saying you're at 80, but then that's where, are you at exactly 80%? Or are you at like 75%? Or are you at like 84%? Like, you see what I'm saying? Because if you fall from 75 to 84%, you're getting paid at the 80 rate. So you have to see where you are at. Yeah, the math ain't mathing. The VA math don't math. That shit ain't regular math. That shit don't add up. But you're taking a percentage of a percentage. So literally, that's why you have to know, like, legit what your percentage actually is. So, like, if you're saying you're getting paid at the 80, but are you at 80, or are you at 84? Are you at 75? Like, that is a big thing, because you got to remember, yeah, you have to figure that out, because that changes a lot depending on what you actually sit on is what changes it. Because the thing is you got to remember, if you get a 50% from sleep apnea, they're giving you 50% of that remaining piece. So whether you still got 26% to go, or you at 84 and you got 16 to go, that's a difference. Because you got to remember, if let's say you're at 75 or 75 or 76. No, let's say 75. You got 25 left, right? If you take 50% of that, that's 12 and a half. So let's say 13. 13 plus 75 gets you to 88. So you still need another 7% to get there. Let me see. I'll show you the ratings table right here, because this is where it's at. So basically, the ratings table will show you an easier way of calculating it. So basically, let's say you said, we'll just go with 75, right? With 75, to get to 95, which would basically round you up to 100, you still need an 80%. You still need 80% to get there. If you're at, let's say, 84, to get there, you still need 70%. So it's just like sleep apnea is going to give you 50%. So if you're like at 75, you get that 50%, you just got bumped up to 88. So now from 88 to get to 95, you still need another 60. Like the shit is so crazy. Like, when trying to explain it to people, people look at me like, bro, how am I supposed to find all this shit? Exactly. Trust you, bro. Just like when I made a YouTube video on this, like explaining how it is. Because the thing is just like people don't understand. Like, it's crazy how they do this math. Like, bro, this is like, why is it so difficult to get where I need to get to? I was just like, I need a whole nother 80%, and I'm already in the 80s, and I need another 80%. Like, when people look at it like that, it's like, bro, I need a lot. Like, I think overall, I think it's like 200 plus or something that you need. But that's the thing is also, it's if you're doing it with those smaller amounts. Cause like I said, look, you can have, if you have let's say arthritis in your hands, each finger can count as 10. So that's 100 there. But let's say you started off at 19, right? 10%, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That shit only got you to 35%. And you just claimed 10 different fingers. Oh no, hold on. Because you would go, the 10% would be at 27. Then 34. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. That's 7. That's 8. That's 9. That's 10. So you would get to 73% if you had every single finger at 10% going up. But then even at 75%, you would still need another 80% to get to 95. See what I'm saying? Like that's what makes it difficult when dealing with this, that a lot of people don't realize. It's just like you need those high value claims that give you that edge you closer, but then you still need exactly. And that's what it's just like people don't realize that, and that's why I tell people it's like you have to make sure that you know exactly where it is you sit. Cause then you know what it is that you need to reach the 100%. Cause that's a lot. That's where a lot of people get it messed up. Is just like if you start getting paid at the 90% mark, you still need, like, from 90 to 95, you still need another 50%. So if you're getting paid at 90, you could be here at 85, which you would still need about like 70%. Or you can be at 94, which you just need another 10%. So that little variance changes a lot off of what do I need to claim, what can I claim, what coincides with this, what can be a secondary to one of the issues that I have. Because basically, like I said, if you have sleep apnea, that's an issue. Sleep apnea can lead to insomnia because you ain't sleeping well because you can't sleep well. That's a mental health disorder. How does that affect you? That can be a secondary claim and stuff like that. So the thing is Josh, it's not going to tell you your exact percentage. They never do, which is one thing I always find weird with it. It doesn't tell you the exact thing. You have to calculate it. So I'll put the link to this real quick. And that's the CFR. So if you check that and you look into that, just go there. You can click on that link when you get the chance. Basically, it'll take you to this page. You just scroll down. It's like a part 4.25, the combined ratings table, and literally go down the list of, excuse me, and you go down the list of what your disability ratings are. So you start off. Most of the time, what I ended up doing is just like go through the whole list and put them in order. So basically, what your high claims start off like that, and then number all of them and put them down the list. Or you could go by one, but it's easier when you start off with the highest one to add it, but you could do it either way. Whenever you start at, and you go from there. So let's say you got a 10%, that puts you at 19 basically. So if you just got 10%, it's basically putting you at 19, which is weird, but it should, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it should. I don't know how that works, but okay. And you start from there, and then start going up the list. Yeah, and then you go from there. And this same document, Josh, is the same thing you're gonna use for that. So you can look up and you can search stuff. Look up sleep apnea, appendix part. Let's schedule ratings, respiratory system. Where is it at? Bronchitis, bronchial asthma, emphysema, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Tuberculosis, that pulmonary. Where the hell is it at? You gotta keep going because sometimes it's there's a whole bunch of shit here. Here it goes. Sleep apnea syndrome, obstructive, central, and mixed. Yeah, and that's the thing. They don't send that to you. So a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to their disability rating, they just look at it as like, oh, I'm 80% or I'm 50% or I'm whatever percent. But that's what you're getting paid at. That is not your exact numeration of where you're at. Because look, this is sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is like if you have chronic respiratory failure with carbon dioxide retention, you get 100%. Like you literally breathing in carbon dioxide when you breathe. That's how you close to dying at times. 100%. Requires use of breathing assistance device such as continuous airway pressure CPAP, 50%. Persistent daytime hypersomnolence. That's basically when you like most people in the army, dead tired. They got sleep apnea and they don't even realize it. I got 3 of my buddies to go get tested for sleep apnea. Once I was diagnosed with it and they explained to me what was going on and what the symptoms were and stuff like that, I went to a couple of my buddies like, hey, bro, go to either behavioral health to go talk to them about you having sleep issues, or ask for a sleep study because you think you may have sleep apnea. All 3 of them got CPAP machines in service. So this was without even dealing with the damn without even dealing with the VA. And that was in service. And I just asked like, hey, I had issues. I went to behavioral health for it. They thought it was like a sleep issue I had. So they tried to put me with like a sleep coach. They put me on an app that basically tracked when I slept, how much I slept, stuff like that. And it was just like I started pulling this shit up and I started inputting. Like I go to sleep. I wake up randomly multiple times in the night, multiple times to go pee. I could sleep like 12 hours and I felt like I slept 1. And then sometimes I slept 3 and I felt like I had slept for days and I was refreshed. And then they saw that and it was just like, all right, this whole sleep thing and coaching is not going to work. Hey, as long as you did something in there, that's a claim. That's a claim. Because the thing is, you got to remember what a lot of people don't realize also is that if you have a claim already in place, you can increase these claims. You can file for an increase if they've gotten worse. But the thing is you got to remember that this document here shows you that. The CFR tells you what it is you're looking for, and what it is you're claiming. So let's say you have those, like you said, PTSD. And I'll show you PTSD. Let me see if it pops it up this way. Mental health. Oh, hold on. Let's go back here. Top. Go to table of contents, and you can go down, scroll down, mental disorders. And this is the list of all the stuff that it comes to mental disorders. But this is how they formulate any of these issues. It's 10%, 30%, 50%, 70%, and 100% that you can get. depending on how badly it is. Because you said you were at 50, it was like occupational and social impairment with reduced reliability and productivity due to such symptoms as flattened affect, circumstantial, circumlocatory, or stereotyped speech, panic attacks more than once a week, difficulty in understanding complex commands, impairment of short and long term memory, retention of only highly learned material or forgetting to complete tasks, impaired judgment, impaired abstract thinking, disturbances of motivation and mood, difficulty in establishing and maintaining effective work and social relationships. That's what you fall under. Now, if you look at it, to get to 70, you would have to fall under the suicidal ideations, obsessional rituals, which basically could lead into OCD, but that's also something else that's on here. Obsessive compulsive disorder, that's also there. Any one of these mental health evaluations, hold on, what's that? My door? Hold on, give me 1 second. Any one of these mental health evaluations basically, or mental health disorders, can fall under this criteria. So if any one of these that's in here causes any of this, you can get an increase. But then that also goes to like joint issues. You got knee problems. Your knees are getting worse. You can't move them as much. You can file for an increase. For me, it was my mental health thing that I filed for an increase for because I was diagnosed with PTSD. For me, it was just at first, it was just what they put. I think it was just like adjustment disorder, I think was what they had it at, and I was at like 30%. And then I went, started talking to a therapist, and then the therapist was just like, nah, bro, you got PTSD. He diagnosed me with PTSD, and then they changed me to another therapist that specialized in PTSD. And all that information was sent straight to the VA because I was using my VA thing because I had mental health issues. I was using the resources that they were providing that they paid for, and then they diagnosed me and gave it to it, and then that's how I filed for an increase. I just told them, hey, look, all y'all got to look at is the documentation that my therapist is sending y'all already, how I'm diagnosed with this and stuff like that. I still had to go do a compensation, a C&P exam to provide the information as to why I had my PTSD. And I had to write it down, and I forget what the form is, but you have to write it down also. And the crazy thing was when I spoke to him, I got diagnosed with it, and I totally forgot something else because it was something that I had shut out of my mind while I served, or something that happened that was pretty traumatic. And it's just like I just blanked it out, and then I thought of it after the fact, and I was just like, well, I got bumped up to 50, and I was just like, okay. I was just like, I'm not to the point where I like, it's like sometimes I fit some of these other characteristics, but 50% is where I fall on because that's the one I mainly go to. When you start doing like hurting yourself or possibly hurting somebody else, or you're danger to yourself, or like it says persistent, like 100% says persistent delusions or hallucinations, which is sometimes those like night terrors, waking up in the middle of the night, stuff like that. Those are things that go in there, but that's something you have to claim. That's something you have to have diagnosed. You have to have some medical provider like showcase that, or your documentation showcasing like, hey, this is what you were dealing with, and they're still gonna send you to a compensation and pension exam. So that it doesn't change at all when it comes to that. They're still gonna ask you, and they're still gonna try to evaluate you, even if you have all the stuff there, because they want to make sure that they're evaluating you and checking you for what you're saying you have, which is something that is just like crazy. It's just like, bro, I just said I dealt with this. They seen it. So is that part of your PTSD claim? Oh, let me see. What did you put? Because you got 50% PTSD, yeah. But then that's also part of your sleep apnea. Because the thing is your body is what gets you up. And that's what was explained to me by the. Because I got mine done in Hawaii, But when I got my CPAP machine, I got it in Germany, and the guy came to the house, brought the machine, had me test on different ones. He was like, "Hey, try this one." I was like, "What's more comfortable for you? This, and that." It was like, "Okay, here's your results. Let me go over this." And it's just like when you jump up like that, like when it's times that you just wake up in the middle of the night and gotta go pee, your body just woke you up. When it's times that you wake up like that, jump scare, breathing heavy, and it's just like, and then you go back to sleep, that was your body. I was just like, he basically explained it to me as like, look, this is your body telling you that you're healthy enough that it's telling you, hey, bro, you need to get the fuck up. You need to get up. We need to move you around. We need you to do something to get you breathing again. And most of the time, it's like, hey, I was just like, and that's what he told him is basically your body is because you're still in good health. Your body is telling you to get up to start the breathing process again. Because the thing is you're stopping the airflow. So your body's like, hey, bro, it's like your shit being like, hey, wake up. You need to breathe. Hey, no problem, man. Just like I said, every Sunday I'm doing this. I'm trying to see if I can find different times. But this one was just like a pop-up one, and I'm gonna try to see if I could do this when I have the ability to just do like pop-up streams where it's just like, hey, I can try to catch people on different days, try to do more live so that people can get this info. Like I said, on Facebook, I'm gonna start doing it more often because I know it's the people I served with that I know are there on Facebook. On YouTube, I get people from all over the place. But benefits is benefits, entitlements is entitlements, disability claims, no matter what service you were in, are still disability claims. It's still the same process, still the same stuff. But appreciate you, my man. Yeah, get them kids to sleep. That's the only reason I'm streaming now is that the kids went with the they're out and about. So off of YouTube. So all right, man. I appreciate you. But yeah, that's the one thing that people need to understand. It's just like when it comes to that, it's just like your disability and your documentation and what is going on with you. A lot of the times, also, veterans don't know. What up, Spark? I'm randomly doing this on Spark. This was just like an impromptu. I got the house to myself. I figured I might as well stream. Um, but yeah, it's just like those things is just like a lot of the times also it's us as veterans don't know what we are filing for or what we're actually dealing with. We ourselves are not medical providers. We ourselves are not medical assistants or know what's going on. We don't know in depth like, oh, this is what's happening. I was like, we know this, we know that. That's not what happens here. That's where we run into that problem that we don't know what it is we're supposed to claim. We don't know that acid reflux is GERD. Most people don't know that shit. Most people don't know that if you keep on waking up in the middle of the night because you got to go pee or you out of breath and stuff like that, you probably got sleep apnea. It may not be severe, but you got some sort of sleep apnea that's just stopping your breathing and it's causing you to start panting when you wake up in the middle of the night. Most people don't know that. When you end up going to sleep for a couple of hours and you feel refreshed, and then when you sleep for a long ass time, you dead tired. That's sometimes just because of sleep apnea, because the oxygen levels for your body to replenish yourself are not there. So your body is tired because you didn't actually rest. You didn't go into that deep sleep because you weren't breathing well enough to get into that deep sleep. So you were fighting, trying to your body's basically trying to keep you breathing so it doesn't allow it to relax and actually breathe and actually, heal itself. So those are things that people don't realize when it comes to like issues with just like the joints. If you're overcompensating on one side and because of the other. Dash, what's up? That was just like if you're doing that, that's something that people don't realize. Like if you're overcompensating on something. Like I said, if you're dealing with muscle spasms or back spasms, you have an underlying issue. There is something else there. You have back spasms and stuff. You have something else going on. You just have no idea what it is. But if you're getting back spasms, is either your back is giving out, you may have bulging discs, you may have slipping discs, you may be overworking one muscle and not working the other one as well. So it's basically like telling you like, yo, I'm about to give out because you overworking it, stuff like that. And that's caused by something else. So you need to realize that, and then you need to go get seen for that. And like I said, it's difficult for some people because some people don't have that a medical provider or that insurance after the fact to actually go get seen. It's just like, look, a sleep study is costly. They gonna put it through, but that's gonna be costly through your insurance. You're still gonna have a good sized copay. But at the end of the day, is it worth it? Yes, because now you will have documentation showing that you got a sleep study and that you have sleep obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA as they like to acronym it and make it shorter. But if you have that OSA, then it's just like, okay, you got it. Now, how do I show that I had it while in service? Because these are the same things I was dealing with while I was in service. I just never got seen for it, or I didn't even know this was the issue. Like I said, with those 3 that I helped with the sleep apnea stuff, it was just like they got it, and it was just like, oh shit. Yo, maniatico, what's up, my man? I was just like, that stuff is just like, you see that, and it's just like those effects of those things that you are dealing with that you don't know how to claim or where to claim. That's where this Code of Federal Regulation comes in handy, because this Code of Federal Regulation will basically highlight all the different stuff that you can claim. And the thing is it's just like you taking the time to actually sit down and read this stuff. Because like if you have digestive system issues, you just going through this and it'll explain it: weight loss and nutrition, coexisting abdominal conditions, schedule ratings for the digestive system. And it gives you a breakdown of all the different things that you can claim. All the different things you can claim. Some of them caused by the military, some not. Like some people have the like the PTSD when it comes to dependence on that. Yeah, see, and that's something like that. Like, look, you getting a back surgery. If you're getting a back surgery, you're gonna probably end up with back spasms because back surgery doesn't work for everybody. For some people, that shit is great; they're perfectly fine, and for other people, it's just like, no, it didn't make it any better. Especially with a lot of people in the military, that shit happened because that's when I got told I got my bulging disc and I had my degenerative disc disease. I started asking people. I started asking like, hey, who here? Like, I started running into people like, hey, man, I heard you had back issues. Did you get like surgery and stuff like that? Some people were like, yeah, man, I got some people got like a disc inserted. Some people got a disc inserted into the thing. And then some people actually got like their discs fused and some of that. And then it was just like, you got different answers because some veterans would just be like, man, or some people on active duty were just like, look, my back is good to go. I'm straight. And it was just like, man, I should have never fucking gotten surgery. And it's twofold when it comes to that. It's just like you can see it one way and you see it the other. Then it's just like, I understand what you're saying, right? You're right. My left bad knee caused my right knee to get bad, and I have sleep apnea. Glad I did a sleep study while in service because now it's hard to sleep without my. Yeah. See, and that's what it is. Any surgery and stuff like that, when you get it, especially in the military, is just like if you're getting the surgery after your time in service, it's difficult because now you have to provide proof that you were dealing with the issue while in service. Yeah, 50% on sleep apnea is one of the biggest things that is just like I said, I got 3 friends of mine that while I was still in Germany, I got them on a CPAP machine. So when they decided to get out, some of them are still active, but they've gotten out. They got their CPAP machine. They got an automatic 50 just because I told them like, hey, bro, just attempt a sleep study. You fit all the symptoms. Hey, for a second, appreciate you, my man. Proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. Appreciate you. But yeah, those are the claims. Those high dollar claims are It's not even, it is high dollar, but it's high value claims are very important that most people don't think of. Like a lot of people deal with migraines. What do most people just do? They just go in the, man, I'm gonna just pop some pills. They don't go get seen for it. A lot of service members don't sleep well, don't eat well, don't work out well, don't drink enough water and stuff like that, and they develop migraines on a constant level. But what do? Instead of actually going to get seen for migraines, they just go to the commissary or to the exchange and buy Tylenol or Excedrin extra strength, all that shit. That's what I was doing at first. I was just going to the extra strength aisle and popping them shits like it was damn Tic Tacs just to try to get my brain from like, I don't know what it was trying to do. Then I was just like, yo, these shits ain't working. Hey, I'm dealing with migraines because it's like I'm starting to like not be able to function in certain times because it's just like my head is just like pounding. Got medication for it. Some people even get shots for it. I knew a couple of people that got like shots for the migraines to try to help with the migraines. Sometimes it helped them, sometimes it didn't. But then if you don't go get seen for it, it's been a long time, honey. I think it's been a long time. I have to stop by the hood back in the day, and I need to get some games in. But I can't right now, man. My body's all fucked up. I can't even ball anymore. Good times, man. Need to bring a couple tournaments back over there to the hood and do that. But yeah, those claims are just like, it's simple things like that people don't realize. It's just like you dealing with the stuff instead of actually going to actually get seen for these issues. You don't go get seen. You go and try to take care of it yourself, and it ends up hurting you on the back end because you don't have the documentation for it. So if you had those migraines and you were dealing with those migraines and you never went and got seen for them, all you did was like pop your own medication, you're going to get out and you're still dealing with those migraines, you're going to claim it, and they're going to be like, miss you too, Gabby. And congratulations. I'm trying. I'm trying to make sure everybody living better, taken care of. That's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, stuff like that, like migraines, you can get 50% off of that. Depending on how badly you get them, that's 50%. Sleep apnea, that's 50%. Mental health, that one can vary from 0 to 100%. Depending on how bad it is for you, most people end up with at least 50% or to 30. 30 to 50% is usually what people end up with mental health. But then you start falling into these other categories. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of different things that fall under mental health. It's not just anxiety, depression, PTSD. There's other things that fall under that, and that's like where's it at? Just highlight it here. So you got schizophrenia, delusional disorder, major neurocognitive disorder, from a TBI or traumatic brain injury, generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, panic disorder. So if you always getting panic attacks, somatic symptom disorder, which the somatic one I believe is just like you always feel pain for stuff. That's another one. Bipolar disorder, persistent depressive disorder, major depressive disorder, chronic adjustment disorder. Like all these different things are there, but you got to remember when it comes to that mental health evaluation and that mental health rating, everything gets combined. So all those different things become one rating, and that changes your situation and that changes how it goes. But this is the rating scale from 0 to 100. Where it's just like, yeah, you've been diagnosed with it, but it's not doing anything. But then it goes to all the way where you're having hallucinations. You can't remember half of the shit you're told or half of the shit you need to do. You can't work. You have like a kind of OCD for certain things that gets you off of getting other things, like stuff like that. All that stuff gets ties into it, and it deals with mental health disorders. So all those are claims that are there, but at the same time, then you look at it, like I said, you got to look at this, you got to look at the rating table, because look, 50%, you start here, 50% with sleep apnea, you get 50% in migraines, that's 75. So now you go to 75%, and you get another 50%. You at 88%. So from 88%, you still need another 60% to get you there. But that's only if you have those high value claims like 50% sleep apnea, 50% migraines, and 50% on mental health. Then it's depending on what else do you have. Yes. So Dash, when it comes to GERD, you have to also make sure that you have something documented through the military. If you have any record of it when you went, like you were just going to Walmart to get the medication, but if you were dealing with it in service, that's what you got to make sure you're providing also. Because they changed it now. GERD, the digestive system rating scale, just got changed this May. What was it? May 19th of this year. That's when it went to affect all the changes. Because now GERD is possibly 30%, where before I think the most you could get was like 20 or 10 or something like that. So digestive system did change, so that's something to look into. You got irritable bowel syndrome, you got GERD. I forget the one that's just like where you can't hold your bladder. That's another one. Stuff like that. That's all claimable, but you have to show something within, like it happened within service, and that's where, like I said, that's where a lot of veterans fall into that problem where they cannot provide documentation or anything showing that it happened in service. But then that's when you have nexus letters, which are those letters from that outside medical provider stating that, hey, he or she has been diagnosed with this because of this issue that happened while their time in service or occurred with their time in service. And then they have to give an explanation as to why that is. So it's like you're getting a diagnosis, which you need a diagnosis, but then you also have to put it like, hey, this is what's happening. This is why you got it. And that's where a lot of people don't get the stuff. And that's why it's hard for people to associate those things, because like I said, the VA is not going to do that work for you. Like the shit can be clear as day in your medical records. The VA is not going to go through those medical records just to find the information you should have been able to provide. And that's why I tell you, like the mentality when it comes to filing disability claims, it's you have to, without a doubt, be able to show somebody this is your issue. You like basically like this. You should be able to, or you need to be able to grab your disability claim, whatever the claim is, and hand it to a random ass stranger, and that person can tell you what the hell is wrong with you. But people don't look at it like that. People don't think about it that way. They just think, oh, the VA is going to take care of it. Oh, it's my paperwork is in there. I got my... No, that's not how it works. You have to be able to show without a doubt, this is what I have. I'm claiming my ankle injury. Here's all the documentation. Here's the MRI. Here's the x-ray. And you can hand it to somebody. I don't suggest doing that, but that's the mentality you have to think of when it comes to filing your disability claim. If I hand this to a random person that don't know who I am, has never seen me before, has never spoken to me before, would they be able to tell from the documentation and everything I provided that what I'm claiming is what it is? If you cannot answer yes to that, then you need to fix your claim. Plain and simple. That's the easiest way of going about it. If you cannot, without a doubt, hand somebody your documentation and be like, hey, this is what I have, this is what I'm dealing with, and that person can be like, oh, okay, yeah, he does have an ankle injury. Then you fucking up. Plain and simple. Yeah, if you have it that way and you have all that information there, it's there and it's easier because now you have that documentation showing that, hey, look, like I said, if it's service connected and documented, you golden because you have the documentation showing that. You have the paperwork showing like, yes, I filed this. I went through this while in service. I got medication while I was in service. And that's what you're doing. Yo, Angelo, my man, I keep getting Yo, Charles, I got videos still of you in Kuwait singing. I still got those videos. Still got those videos. Them videos are still there. I got them somewhere in my hard drive. I got to find them. I'll probably try to see if I can send them to you. When you were doing the talent show out in Kuwait, still got them shits. But that's what the people like. Though if you got look, that's the other thing. Medications is also another thing that people fail to realize can be a claim. Because the thing is just like, look, a lot of the medication that you take when it comes to, I will, because it pops up on my memories too every now and then. I got you, I got you, Searles. GERD and IBS are part of the same system, so if you have one, you most likely have another. That is true, but the thing is you still want to make sure that you have diagnosis for it. Because the thing is like the VA also understands is like they don't have like I don't think they have a handbook for it. But there's certain things that is just like, look, if you claim this, most likely this shit is happening. They don't tell you that. They're not gonna go out and tell you it's like, oh, you claim this, well, yeah. This goes with that. They're not gonna do that. But there's a lot of stuff that coincides. And that's where you get those secondary claims. A lot of those secondary claims come from that issue of you have this issue, this leads to this. Or this is in the same family. If you got GERD and you got acid reflux, most likely you dealing with more shit with your digestive system. It's not gonna just stop at GERD. So in that case, they see it, but then it's like you still need to make sure you're documented and saying like, oh, okay, yeah, he does have GERD. He's been diagnosed with GERD. He's also been diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. And then it's just like, okay, both of these two do coincide with each other. He has a diagnosis and he has medication. You good to go. But like I said, there's still times that they still might deny your shit. That happens a lot too. But that's when you appeal. That's a whole different thing. The appeal process and dealing with it after the fact that they might deny it, that's a whole different issue. The main issue is getting it right the first time when you're submitting it. And like I said, when it comes to anything like that, you just have to make sure your documentation is straight. That is the biggest thing, your documentation. You have to make sure that your shit is straight. If it's not, you're going to have a hard time. You're not going to be able to get the stuff accomplished. You're not going to be able to get this documentation to show it. Like like I said, if you cannot provide without a doubt your paperwork to somebody else randomly and they can't tell you what is wrong with you, you're not filing correctly. If you're filing anything, you should have depending, because you also got to remember, some people are doing the BDD process, which is the benefits delivery by discharge, which is when they're 180 days out from ETSing to the 90 days, they can do all that stuff. And then basically you get your ratings and all that stuff, like maybe like a week or two after you finally ETS. Or a lot of people, what they do is they don't go through that process because a lot of people don't know the process, or their unit, which is pieces of shits, don't give you the actual time to go through the process. You deal with that, and now you have to deal with the VA after the fact. If you file your disability claim a year after your ETS, you basically don't need any outside sources. But once you've been out after a year, from there, you are going to need outside documentation, outside diagnosis, whether it's a nexus letter, whether it's imagery, being X-ray, CT scan, MRI, buddy statements from you, your wife, your kids, your buddy that served with you and on that deployment where it was just like you had sleep apnea and you were fucking snoring the whole fucking time and it sounded like you were dying. That's a buddy statement stating that. I was like, look, man, this guy was my bunkmate, and I had to wake this dude up and push him because I thought he was dying and choking in his sleep. Statements like that go a long way because now you have somebody that's providing that and showing like, okay, they were deployed. So that already becomes a PACT claim because you probably got the toxic exposure, whether it was just like the burn pits or not. Your buddy's now actually corroborating what he saw and what he heard and what he witnessed with you when you were in service dealing with it. A lot of people don't look at it like that. It's just like you have a bunch of people you served with. Those people can provide you buddy statements. And the more in detail and the more clarified it is, the better picture it presents to somebody that's providing that information or reading it. Like I said, if a buddy statement comes and it's just like, I don't know who this person is, but I give them a letter and it says, yes, I served with this person at this time. We served together from this year to this year. We deployed together here on this and we did that and all this stuff. And it's just like you have all that documentation put together. It'll highlight what you need to be highlighted. So now you have a diagnosis from an outside provider. You got the imagery, whatever it is, or you got that sleep study done. You have all that stuff. Now that's documented. And now you have a buddy basically stating how he dealt with you having sleep apnea while you were deployed or on field exercises or whatever the case. And they give you, I wouldn't say a diagnosis, but they give you that substantiating statement basically, or that statement that actually benefits you and agrees and clarifies that, yeah, this person dealt with this at this time. This person dealt with this when they were old, when they were in the old unit with them, or whatever the case may be. And you have that documentation. Anything that you can provide, you have to think of. Anything that's outside the box, it doesn't hurt to provide it. It's not just medical records. People just think it's just like, oh, I need to show medical records. Yes, you have to show medical records for a lot of the stuff, but that external document, that external validation, that external like confirmation of the issues that you're dealing with goes a long way also, because now it's just like, hey, a medical provider is saying that this person is dealing with this, but now he has 3 or 4 different buddies that are actually saying that they've witnessed him going through this, or they've seen this happening, or whatever the case may be. And those things start adding up. And then you keep on filing, keep on figuring out what it is. Like I said, the biggest thing is the Code of Federal Regulations. This is one of the biggest documents that most veterans don't even know exist. I'll put this back. I'll put it back in the chat. I'll put it on YouTube, and here I'll put it on Facebook also. And that's the one basically right there, the CFR. People check in and click on that. That is basically where you're going to get all this information. My GERD medication caused my IBS and they changed my medication. That's great, because the thing is now you have documentation showing that. So basically you can claim that you got irritable bowel syndrome. It's just like your GERD medication caused it. But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes the VA knows that, and they won't fight you on it because they know medication does that. Like a lot of the times when people file for erectile dysfunction, it's because, hey, you've been taking all these fucking medications and now your shit ain't working. And the VA don't even fight it. Why do you think for ED is like one of the claims that most men actually just claim? How they gonna prove it? But the thing is they know it's like, damn, we do pump this dude with all bunch of fucking pills here and there. We give him this, we give him that. He got to take this, he got to take that. It starts affecting your body. And especially like, I forget what committee hearing it was. It was this lady that she was talking to, like it was like the VA committee. I forget for which one it was. And she was just like explaining it, just like, yeah, I went to my provider and they gave me medication, and then they kept on giving me medication. And as she's talking, this lady has like her bag is in her hand and she's just pulling out fucking pills, like little containers of pills. She's still talking about, like, oh, then they gave me this, then they gave me this, then they said this. Then they said I shouldn't take that one because of this, but then I might need to take this one because of that. And it was just like, and it was just crazy because she like knew the names of all of them and she had the explanation. And it was just like, she ended up like with like, I think it was like 10 different containers of just different medications that it was just like one she could take at one time, but couldn't because of the other and stuff like that. And it's just like, you're going to have side effects. Or with certain muscle relaxers. With me, I had to get them to change mine because it was like, bro, I can't function. This shit has me groggy beyond fucking belief. And then the thing is what does it say? Do not operate heavy machinery. You shouldn't be driving, stuff like that. So it's just like, how you want me to go to work if I can't even get in a car because of how damn groggy and damn like drowsy I am? And people don't realize that all those side effects that are on your medication can also be a claim. But the thing is you have to find what it is you're filing for. You just can't put claims in there. They have to fall into this Code of Federal Regulation. They have to fall into that. If they're not within the Code of Federal Regulation, you have to find what is connected to that is in the Code of Federal Regulations. Like I said earlier, back spasms. Back spasms is not a claim. You cannot claim back spasms. they'll let you. It says it like painful motion or something like that. They'll say it like, hey, if you got back spasms and they happen while you getting examined, I was like, that's a pretty goddamn good reason. I was just like, well, I clearly see your shit is twitching. I see you have this issue. But back spasms aren't like on call. Them shits is just random kicks to the back sometimes. And you just like, yo, what the hell just happened? Type shit. But if it happens when you're doing a compensation and pension exam, that helps show like, look, they looking at my back and was just like, this shit is twitching visibly. They'll be like, okay, this person does have an issue. But then there's an underlying issue. So we can't just claim back spasms because there's nothing in the system that says back spasms. So we need you to find something else. And sometimes those people will be like, hey, we need this person to get an MRI or a thing. Like with my VA provider, they just scheduled me for another MRI. I had one while I was in service. Had a tear in my labrum. I've been saying, hey, I'm dealing with the shit. My shit hurts. I'm having problems with it again. It's getting worse. And then she's like, okay, let's do another x-ray. Stuff like that. She's like, next thing you know, they called me. It was just like, hey, man, provider said we want to schedule you for physical therapy because you got this. I'm just like, I know I had something wrong. I was just trying to tell y'all because I did this before. But at the same time, when you're 100% P&T, when you're at that 100% mark, it's not a big issue because it's just like, if you're going to get seen for something when you're 100% P&T, everybody has the worry. It's just like, oh, they might reevaluate me or they might open up the case again or I might lose percentage. It was just like, if you going and your shit is clearly worse, you ain't going to lose rating. If you lied about it when you first got it, then you might lose rating if it's actually better. But if you got a rating off of something and it's gotten worse, and you go on to file for an increase or you just trying to get seen, that documentation actually helps you because then it's just like, damn, if we try to reevaluate this, the situation is now actually worse than when it first started. So they'll be like, you know what, let's leave this person alone. But then what a lot of people fail to realize also is that when it comes to people not like they like to call poking the bear to not lose their 100 is that a lot of people ended up getting their ratings off of secondary claims. And that's what a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of the times when people are like, oh, we're worried about it, it's just like, look, y'all went through that whole process to try to get to 100%. I can understand you being so scared to do it. For some people, it wasn't hard to get to 100% because they had the documentation. They had the MRIs, the CAT scans, the x-rays, the physical therapy, the medication. They had all that provided and they were able to get to 100% easier because it's like, look, I already got all this shit. Y'all already knew I had all this shit. For other people, it's just like, we don't know where you got this from. So you need to show us that this actually happened to you because of your time here. Wasn't because it just happened or just like maybe you went, like I said, you went on a skiing trip and you hurt yourself. They don't know the difference. They're not going to go out of the way and be like, you know what, let's make sure this guy, let's make sure it wasn't on a ski trip or let's make sure it wasn't this. And it's just like, those are the things that differentiate themselves. That's what people need to understand that. It varies. It's not a one size fits all for everybody. Not everybody goes through the same claims. Not everybody goes through the same not everybody goes through the same issues. Not everybody has the same medical shit. Not everybody has the same medical issue, which that can vary, that can change, that can become one thing, that can be another thing, and it can be evaluated by one person as one thing and then another person might not see it that way. The same way that happens with your PAs in the military when you're on active duty. You may say you have this issue and when you check your medical records, that shit is not written that way. And a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't understand that happens. It happens a lot when people have that is just like, you know what? You have this situation, but my situation is not the same. Did my shit just freeze? Did it just freeze on Facebook? I don't know. No, I don't think it froze. Okay. But that's the one thing that's just like not everybody's situation is the same. Not everybody deals with the same stuff. Not everybody has the same ailments. Not but like you can have degenerative disc disease. Your discs don't look the same. What you dealing with one person is not the same as what you're dealing with the other person. Yo degenerative disc disease could be a cervical issue and not a lumbar issue. For somebody else, it might be a lumbar issue and not a cervical issue. And that's two different things. Because the thing is for mine, cervical, that pinched nerve was causing me to go lose feeling in my arm. The same way if it's lumbar, you're having your damn you're losing or going having your legs go numb. Those things change. So not everybody gets the same claim. Not everybody goes through the same thing. And then a lot of veterans don't understand that. It's just like just because you didn't go to sick call and somebody else did, or because somebody decided to get 100% and you didn't, that's not nobody's fault but the veteran themselves. Sorry to say that. It's on you. It's your job to take care of yourself. If somebody else is taking care of themselves, you can't be mad at them because they decided to take care of themselves when you decided to just drink the Kool-Aid. Plain and simple. You decided to drink the Kool-Aid. You decided to keep on doing what you were going to do and didn't want to go get yourself checked and all that stuff. You end up paying for it on the back end. Because now with the VA, you don't have no documentation. Whereas that person that kept on going to sick call, that person that they wanted to call a sick call ranger and stuff like that, that person ends up with their disability rating with no issue. Why? Because they went every single time they got hurt. Oh, my knee hurts. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep on getting profiles. I'm going to keep on getting profiles. And then next thing you know, look, his knee's that messed up. They do the actual imagery and they find out, like, bro, you all bone on bone. That's why it hurts. And it was just like, well, if y'all wouldn't have taken so damn long, we would have done this earlier. But in cases like that, it happens where it's just like everybody has different stuff, but it's on the veteran to ensure that they are doing and taking the time out of their day, the time out of their night, the time away from that football game, the time away from that boxing match, soccer match, basketball game, whatever it is that else you're doing. The same way you can invest time into that is the same way you have to invest time into yourself to make sure you are taking care of yourself, your family, and your future. Because it's a big difference when you're 100% P&T and you can have Chapter 35 benefits, which gives your 18-year-old or kids in college or your spouse in college a monthly stipend while they're enrolled in school, tax-free. That goes a long way. When you get Champ VA as a primary insurance or a secondary insurance, which covers basically if you go, your kid gets sick or anybody gets sick and they go to the doctor or something like that, that you already have a primary insurance and you got Champ VA on top of it, you ain't paying no out-of-pocket costs. So now you just saved yourself that medical bill or whatever because insurance is paid for it. All those little things add up when it comes to it, or when it comes to property tax exemptions, or if something happens to you and it's service connected, your surviving spouse and dependents can receive payments. Like all those little nuances that people don't realize and don't think is just like, you got to remember, you got to take care of yourself. At the end of the day, you have to do the research. You have to do the work. The VA ain't going to do it for you. VSOs will help, not necessarily do it for you. If you go to these like companies, some companies will go all out for you because you paying them. And basically for some, it's just like, look, if we don't give you an increase, we ain't charging you. But for some, it's just like, hey, we give you an increase, we get this amount. Best believe they're going to work their ass off, especially when they know what you got and they know they can make money off of you because they know it's a check for life that you're going to keep getting. So those are the things that people need to realize. And those are the things that people need to put together. It's just like, hey, make sure you're taking care of your stuff. Make sure you're getting those evaluations. Make sure you're going to get seen by a doctor. No matter what, I know it might be stressful. I know it might be costly, but at the end of the day, if you can use that documentation and that paperwork to help you gain benefits or gain another percentage or get you to 100%, it'll be well worth it and the money will come back. I assure you. Because being at 100% is a big difference than being at 90%. It's almost $1,000 difference. And that's just from one percentage to another. Otherwise, most of the jumps are like $100-something, from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, stuff like that, is those percentages. So depending on how you go about it and depending on how you go about your day and try to fix things, that's where it'll be influenced and that's what will change. So that's one thing you just need to keep in mind. And just a reminder, as always, we do these every Sunday. I'm gonna try to do some pop-up. I'll probably do a couple more throughout the weekend, just for like 2 hours here and there and stuff like that. But every Sunday, veterans workshops, 12 noon Central Time. I know football started and stuff like that, but look, the importance of you making sure your benefits are straight, your disability rating is straight, I think outweighs going make sure you don't miss the football game. You can tune in for a little bit, or at least have me on your phone on the side or whatever the case, and get some knowledge and ask questions that way. But I want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in, everybody that stopped by, people that shared, people that liked the stream. I appreciate y'all. Continue to take care of yourselves. Make sure to look out for one another. Be good to one another. Look out for one another. Love one another. Take care of one another. And stay marvelous the whole time while doing it. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all evening. We'll try to do some more of these pop-ups. I'll definitely be popping up on Facebook a bit more, just to get the people I know in here and get them more aware. And then YouTube is basically anybody that finds it or is looking for disability information. It's available. I have tons of videos already out, which are workshops that are already in place. Probably need to do a better job of labeling them, but it's usually random subjects or specific subjects, depending on what people have questions with, that we go into. So if you have questions, put them together, add them up, put them together so that way when it comes Sunday, you have them prepared to be asked and answered, and that way I can help you and assist you in the best way I can. Otherwise than that, I appreciate y'all, and y'all have yourselves a great rest of y'all weekend. Peace.